I was very focused on knowing how things like this work. So stuff like drop downs, pop ups, and all of that, I was doing just by myself with
Yeah, I
CSS. So
remember.
I did CSS for like a year.
2, 3 years. Yeah,
Yes, I
like
even ended
very
up
long
writing
time.
my own library
Yeah.
in CSS, right?
I mean, if you've gone through the stress or the headache of you writing your header, checking the animations, the
The
drawers,
drawings,
a lot, Charlie.
pop-ups, modals, and those things.
It's
Yeah.
it's not
It's
not
not
easy,
easy. It's
no.
not easy. It's not easy, bro.
Yeah, so these bootstraps and tailwinds just in there.
Adds up and
Exactly.
that's it.
Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. I am Emmanuel, and you can call me Cody Rev, and then
I'm Joshua, and you can call me Josh or Josh Joy.
great. Charlie, what's up?
Janade cool, bro.
Everything cool.
Everything cool.
Same with fresh and taste. Okay, all right. So today we're going to discuss the roadmap to becoming a front-end software engineer. And as I have Joshua here, he's a senior front-end engineer. He has many years of experience, not to, I think, like 5 or 6 years of professional experience working with tech companies, both startups, high-tech companies and all that. So he's here to shed light on roadmap to becoming a front-end software engineer. Things you have to take to actually be confident that now I am a front-end engineer. All right, so stay tuned and enjoy. All right, senior dev.
Yeah,
Charlie, how have you been today?
I'm good. I'm good. Today is Saturday as at the time of recording this video, and doing some vibe coding and building some personal projects.
Vibe coding.
Yeah. So everything has been
Vibe coding. I think 4 years ago it was stack coding.
Stack coding. That's Stack Overflow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, so not to waste much time,
Mm-hmm.
could you tell us a little about front-end engineering?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's something I love to talk about always. In software engineering, we are always looking at an application, right? That is a software, right? For every software, I personally group them into two parts. For each part, you can group them into multiple sessions, right? So the main two parts we have is what you see and what you don't see. So what you see is what I call front end, and what you don't see is what I call back end. But we are here today to talk about front end, which is what you are able to see. So for example, if you are using, let's say, your Uber app or your Bolt app, right? What you see with the riders going and coming, the interactions, the text and the images you are seeing is what you call front end. Yeah, so basically front end is just the interface or the view you see on the application, right? Yeah, and that happens to either mobile apps or web apps, right? Yeah, by web apps I mean websites. For those who don't know what I'm talking about here. So yeah, that's basically it. Front end also mostly centered on the internet, right? Anything about internet is actually centered around front end, right? Because you are making HTTP requests to servers and to check in with some domain names, that's DNS, to make sure the server's name correlates with whatever IP you are trying to hit on a server to get feedback on your application. Yeah, so front end is basically the interface you see on applications. Yeah.
That be true. So the interfaces we see like on tablets, mobile apps,
Everything.
website. I think even for iOS designs to your iPhone lock screens and all those things are
Even your
part
Apple
of
Watch.
front-end. Exactly. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, before we go into you telling us the roadmap, right?
Yeah.
I just want us to tell us how you found interest in front-end engineering because there are many fields in software engineering, right? A lot.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot.
a lot.
Backend, there a lot. Backend, DevOps, mobile, front end,
Exactly.
a lot. So what made you love front end?
Yeah.
Why did you choose
So
front end?
to talk about that, right? See, we've said in our previous videos that we started in college, right? So we started by just having the interest to write algorithms, right? To solve some few problems, do some calculations and some evaluations, which we started with C++, right? So I proceeded from C++ to Python. But going forward, I realized no. So what are we using all these things for, right? You started using Python for
Yeah.
for web, right? That was backend web. using Django,
Sure.
and I started thinking about it. How do we interact with the applications we build? So that's when I got a chance to learn HTML. Right, I started
Okay.
learning HTML even though I didn't know anything about JavaScript. So HTML, which is hypertext markup language, that's how I found out about that. But before that, I think
Mm.
the same story about seeing someone building a website for the first time got me the interest, right? I wanted to know how we build all these things with the images and the text, That was fun. From the beginning, we were doing just calculations, evaluations, and all of that with Python and C++. But I wanted to do something that will be more like I'm drawing something, I'm doing something colorful and all of that. I really love colors, right? So that's how I got interest to do front-end engineering. So I pursued that. I started from HTML, went to CSS, then I proceeded to JavaScript. Yeah.
Hard, hard,
Yeah,
hard, hard,
so
hard,
it
hard.
was just that. That was our about I think 2019 first year. Yeah, that
Sure,
was it.
sure, sure. For me, I think I also did some front end before switching to Python, you
But
know.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time we discovered responsiveness. That
Oh.
is making your website
Mm.
adapt to screens. Charlie, we were so happy. It was so fun. All
Solid,
right,
solid,
so
solid.
can you give us the roadmap? Languages,
Well, yeah.
tools,
Mm.
frameworks, anything someone should learn
Yeah.
to like have the confidence to say now I'm a front end engineer. What?
The roadmap starts in two parts, right? Some people like evaluations a lot. So if you like evaluations a lot, you can go with JavaScript first, learn some few evaluations with some few calculations and all of that. But what I would suggest or what I prefer is that we start with HTML, right? From HTML, you move to CSS, then you hit on JavaScript, right? That's the three key.
HTML,
CSS,
CSS,
JavaScript.
JavaScript. Okay.
Right, that's the basic roadmap you need to set off, right? Right from there, now we have modern tools and modern technologies that you have to use. I'm not sure any company hires people based on just the three basic things that I mentioned. That's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Okay.
Now we have frameworks and libraries, some tools to use to create heavy applications, right? Think about it this way. If let's say you are to build Facebook clone, right? Doing that alone with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is going to be very difficult. So that's how they came about with all these libraries and frameworks. Now we have React, we have Vue.js, we have Next.js, we have Angular, we have a lot, right? Yeah.
A
So
lot.
mastering these basic three, then now you make your decision on the remaining frameworks. Now the decision you make on that is based on two things, right? If you want a job faster, you go for the popular ones, right? If you just want to explore, find out which one you think will be good for you with your projects and everything,
Okay.
right? Then you check the variations and what projects you are looking forward to doing, right? Check the differences, then based on the differences, the pros and cons about all the libraries you have up there, then you make your decision. So the roadmap is pretty simple. First hit on HTML, CSS, and
HTML.
JavaScript. Right from there, then you start to look for which library you want to go for, which framework you want to go for. Right?
Okay. Okay. Because I mean, the frameworks are built on these three, I mean, basic
Exactly.
languages. So you just have
Exactly.
to.
Yeah.
Sure, that's fine. We'll come back to like you recommending some to us, right? We'll
Oh,
come
for
back to
sure. Yeah,
that,
for
but
sure.
not now. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, and then front end engineering. I mean, I was part of the journey. So I saw everything, right?
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
we started with HTML,
Mm-hmm.
CSS. Then I backed up a bit. Then you continue with the responsiveness. At that time, it was Bootstrap. Yeah, Bootstrap for
Yeah,
helping you with the CSS styles, responsiveness and all that, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. I think
I mm-hmm,
the part of the journey is that Emmanuel was trying to push me to start using libraries like UI libraries for my designs,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
But
I remember.
I was very focused on knowing how these libraries work. So stuff like drop downs, pop-ups, and all of that, I was doing just by myself with CSS.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
I did CSS for like a year.
Two, 3 years. Yeah,
Yes, I
like
even ended
very
up
long
writing
time.
my own library. in
Yes.
CSS, right? Because I wanted to understand how these things are working with the libraries and all of that. So I started using Bootstrap along when I was learning CSS, even though I wasn't using that much until Tailwind came into the picture. It took a very long time before I started using Tailwind because I wanted to understand the flow, the dynamics between the two, Bootstrap and Tailwind, right? So now I realize now everyone is going for Tailwind, and Tailwind is actually powerful with
Yeah.
the community behind it and everything is solid.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very solid. Okay, so just not to confuse anyone who is like foreign to the technologies you have mentioned. You
Oh,
mentioned Doit, you know, I
yeah.
also mentioned Bootstrap.
Bootstrap.
So what just some little,
Yeah. So
thing
if
about them.
if you're
Yeah.
able to, if you're a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
it may look some way to you, but if you've already started something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, this just has passed through your ears. Doing CSS alone is like writing your own animations, your own colors, sizes, and all of that, right? No, now some people or some group of people has sit down to come about with some libraries which you use just some classes to perform one or two, three things together in just one class,
Sure.
right? So this Bootstrap and the Tailwind we are talking
Tailwind.
about are UI libraries. They are libraries that you are CSS libraries rather.
Mm-hmm.
So they are libraries you are using in place of CSS
Mm-hmm.
instead of writing your own raw CSS, right? And it's well customized or it's well modified in a way that it gives you some nice feel of designs. I mean, front end is all about aesthetics,
Sure.
making it
Yeah.
look that nice and catchy. So that's what Tailwind and Bootstrap is about. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if you've gone through the stress or the headache of you writing your header, checking the animations, the
The
drawers,
drawings,
a lot, Charlie.
pop-ups,
Uh-huh.
modals, and those things.
It's
Yeah,
it's not it's
it's
not
not
easy,
easy. It's
bro.
not easy. It's not easy, bro.
Yeah,
See,
so
yeah,
these bootstraps and tailwinds just ease the
adds up and all of
exactly.
that. Yeah.
That's good. All right, all right. So your experience or your roadmap to now becoming a senior front-end engineer, right?
Mhm.
So how did it start and then how is it going now? Yeah,
Um,
what projects have you worked on? Like anything, the challenges you faced.
mm.
A lot. Just tell us about your
The
experience
challenges
and
I
how it has been.
faced becoming a senior front-end engineer was because I had it in mind that front-end is not difficult. Until I landed a first gig, a first contract, they had a UI done already, right? The UI was having some serious animations. It was great. It was mind-boggling. Like you will see some bubbles popping up from behind. Like a lot of things were going on in the UI.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized the things I knew when it comes to the real world is different because even though what you are learning from HTML, CSS, JavaScript to whatever library you pick up, you can use that to build some landing pages. But as to a client's preference, the kind of designs they need, well, that can challenge you a bit to explore a lot, I mean, fumble a lot with some designs and some animations, right? That's one of the first challenges I had. The second challenge I had was about connecting my front end with the back end. That's when I realized it's not just about writing the UI, it's about manipulating data and all of that because you make HTTP requests to an API,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're using a REST API or GraphQL or whatever you are doing, right? You get the data, you have to manipulate it in a way you can display it well to the users because users do not care about whether you are getting the data from here or what.
Mm-hmm.
All they want is that the data is presented to them in a way that they understand,
Sure.
right? So these are the two challenges I faced in my journey.
I
And
remember.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
remember.
there was this project we were working on.
Mm-hmm.
My focus was all on the UI until we got to integration. I realized
Integration.
no, this is really
Your
is
pressure
getting.
was too much. This guy closed his laptop and
Oh, I slept. I mean, it was difficult. I felt like what is going on? I know JavaScript.
mm-hmm.
I know what HTTP means. I know what making a request. I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But combining the two, having the API, the endpoints, and joining the two together to make a whole application was was actually a difficult one for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because of me having it in mind that front end is easier and like it's just that. Yeah.
And exactly, it's really confusing when you're starting. it's so confusing when you're starting. I think
And
so. With your design, you do your HTML, you add the CSS, and now you be feeling yourself,
yeah,
right?
you feel like you
And
are the
then
boss in the game.
exactly,
Yeah.
you store Tailwind,
Mm-hmm.
Bootstrap, you inject any of these frameworks or tools to make it more nicer, right? So let's
Exactly.
say you are doing an e-commerce, something like Jumia. You do this static designs, everything, you click, Charlie, everything is
Everything's
working
on
so
point.
fine. But when it gets to, I mean, you are listing products, they are static stuff. You have
Mm-hmm.
the images and you are just calling them one after the other,
So
copying
it's
it, exactly duplicating devs and all those things
mm-hmm.
just to have your page, right, for the
Yeah,
design. But when it comes to you fetching the data from the back end, it has got a lot. I
a
mean, a
lot,
lot,
a lot,
a lot. You would
a
have to
lot.
like clean, fetch, loop, a lot,
Yeah,
a lot,
I think
a lot.
one of the
Uh-huh.
challenges I had is also relating to the UI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that, but people will say, why am I talking about just the integration part of things?
Mm-hmm.
But that was for CSS. The reason why I decided to learn CSS and do CSS for a year without touching any library
Yeah.
was that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to understand how these things work. So it was difficult for me trying to do some animations, trying to do some responsive designs. I mean, for those who don't know responsive designs are designs you make in order to have your application fitting any screen size,
Exactly.
right? So no matter what size you have, whether it's a phone or tablet, a PC, your application should be able to fit in a way that users will be able to use every feature you have in the application, right? Without any distraction. Yeah, so that was difficult for me. I had to learn it in such a way that I have to understand
Mm-hmm.
why everything should move to this way for a mobile size, right? So it was a difficult one. I think one friend of mine actually introduced that to me. I didn't even know it was called responsive design.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there's supposed to be something that I can use to make it look nice on every screen. But I had no idea about that because I was lost. But I thought I was just designing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that actually was a challenge, getting to know about that and learning it. You know, you may learn it for a landing page,
Mm-hmm.
and you may get a project that is a dashboard,
A
and now you are
dashboard.
confused about
Mm-hmm.
how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you may get a project that looks like some
It has like a
game.
mobile first
Yeah, start.
design, having
Okay.
this mobile feel and
So
all that. Yeah.
it was giving me some dynamism in how I'm supposed to put up applications when starting from scratch. For some application you have to start from a mobile view. For some application you have to start from the desktop view,
Yeah.
right? It depends on the client's preference and how you think the project will look like in the
Exactly.
near future. Yeah.
Exactly. That's really correct. So just putting it out there. If you still don't understand responsiveness and you are like a beginner front end engineer or you are doing some HTML,
Mhm.
CSS, don't worry. You see what's like looking good to you right now, right? Just project it, okay?
Project it.
Or find a very big PC and just project it
Project
on
it.
it. You'll be
Exactly. You
happy.
have yeah.
Okay, that's insightful. That's insightful. So I think this will be the last question, right?
Okay.
Um, you said a lot, and now we know a lot about front end based on like from what you said. The stacks you mentioned: HTML, CSS, React, Vue.js, Angular. You mentioned a
Yeah.
lot. You talked about these tools or these libraries like Tailwind, Bootstrap to spice it up, right?
Yeah.
So personally, which of them are you going to recommend for a beginner, right? Or even for someone who is still in the industry but Charlie and you get them. So which of them do you think or are you going to recommend so the person will be able to like get a fast job in and outside Ghana? Like which of them are you going to recommend based on your parameters or anything? So
So based on my parameters, I think I'll go for React.js and Next.js.
hmm
Yeah, and as a beginner, you definitely would have to start with React,
okay.
right? I'm choosing that because React is now having a lot of um, backups with big team backing it up, making updates all the time, right? A lot of libraries and tools are coming up centered on React, right? Now all the top nice UI libraries are centered on React. We have ShitCN, we have Material UI, we have Daisy, like a lot of them are centered on React, right? So if
Okay.
you take that path, you are likely you have the chance to get a job easily, right? And also, it's simple to manipulate your things and do some things in your own way when you are using React,
Okay.
as compared to, I would say, as compared to Vue.js. Yeah, as compared to Angular, right? Because with React, you're able to create components in different ways, right? And it's easier because a lot of the syntax looks like JavaScript. Vue.js, you use some dollar signs with some other things, which you may not find that in JavaScript when you are learning it, right? So if you go for React, it's easier because you have the control to manipulate things around. And because the community is big, right? Facebook is using React, right? And Vercel is using React. A lot of applications you see out there, they are using React.
And then
So
for the job markets too, yeah,
exactly,
especially in
because
Ghana and then outside too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Right now,
quite a lot.
if you are to search React developers on LinkedIn, a lot of the number of jobs you get is more than all the rest of them.
Sure,
Yeah, so
sure.
I'll go for React.
Okay, so you recommend React
React,
to a
that's for the
beginner,
framework.
right?
And
Okay.
if I'm recommending React, meaning I'm going for Tailwind and JCN with the UI libraries, right? So for CSS library, JCN; for UI library, sorry, for CSS library, Tailwind; and for UI library, JCN
Oh, okay.
or Material UI.
Okay.
That's um, if you, you want that preference, yeah.
No, okay, okay. So me, I've worked with React like yourself, Vue.js, Angular, right? And then like we always have our, we always have our
Yeah,
debates
yeah, yeah, yeah.
about, yeah, I always like find it, I wouldn't say difficult, but comparing React to Vue.js, I find it so straightforward to get things done. That is me.
With what?
With like building my own applications,
Like
right?
with what? Which of the libraries?
Vue.js,
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 okay.
yeah, sure. I find Vue.js very like straightforward as compared to React, right? Just based on
You're not
how
going to ask
it
me why.
returns.
You're not going to ask me
Oh,
why.
but
Why?
okay, that's what I'm saying
That's your
personally,
personal
right?
preference.
Sure, too. And
And
then,
I know why. I know why. Because
uh-huh,
he wants a way he
uh-huh.
can be using templates in his projects. He's a backend engineer, and that's
Exactly.
why
You get
he
your
likes that.
template.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to run your
Yeah,
loops
yeah.
and all that, and it's
It's
like straightforward for you to set up.
mm,
Yeah, and also Angular 2 is nice, especially if you're a backend and you want to try some front end. Angular 2 gives you some,
gives some feel
backend
of
vibe.
backend
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah.
so you can explore. You can explore. I mean, any of them, and then you choose. But as the experts recommend, then you should do React.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
I mean,
the
the
market is
React
good there.
community is really huge. So
Okay,
yeah.
sure, sure. All right. That's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah,
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 very
yeah.
interesting
I
conversation.
think I've built a lot of projects with
Mm-hmm.
React.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before moving to Next.js. And Next.js is a modern library
But you've done
built
you've
on
done
top of
Vue.js
React.
before. You've done
Oh yes.
Vue.js
Oh
with
come on,
yeah,
I've
not
done
before.
Vue.js.
Yeah.
How do I know
Even
the difference?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you've
I've
done
done
Vue.js a
Vue.js,
lot.
Angular.
Yeah.
I've done Svelte as well,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm doing React
Mm-hmm.
more and Next.js.
Has there been a project that it was solely yours that you chose any other framework
Aside
aside
React,
React?
never.
No.
It can never happen.
Exactly. Yeah, so unless client requirement. So don't just be like we are
Even if
recommending
a
React.
client
So that's
recommend Vue,
mm-hmm,
I will personally convince the client to
mm-hmm,
accept React
mm-hmm,
or Next.js
mm-hmm.
because I mean, come on, what are you talking about?
Mm.
And because the community is big, if you leave the project to anyone to handle, it's easier,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's easy. It will be easier for the person to catch up with whatever updates going on out there to make any changes or anything,
Okay.
right? So maintenance of the project becomes very easier, right? That's very important in our industry.
Sure, sure.
It's not about just building the application. Building it and making sure it's maintainable is also important,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you build an application and no one can maintain it or I mean keep track of what is going on, make changes or any update to it, that's a bad habit. But you are supposed to build it in a way that anyone is able to make changes, update, maintain, and keep things on point. You get it?
All
Yeah.
right, great. So the last thing and then we are done. Give us like a straightforward roadmap. I mean, just mention them HTML, CSS, this, then yeah,
Okay.
then we close.
Yeah. My preference is that you
Mm-hmm.
start, you learn the internet, you understand internet,
Okay.
you come to HTML, CSS, You come to HTML, that's hypertext markup language
Sure.
for building layouts, right? And then you come to CSS, that's to style the layouts you've built with HTML. Then you come to JavaScript. That will be the language you're going to use with your manipulations and evaluations, right? And making interactions with the backend
Exactly.
database, right? Then you choose a library, which I'm recommending
Yeah.
React. Now, after choosing the library, of course, you have to get some CSS library and a UI library, which will help you to build nice designs. And we are going for Tailwind
Torrent.
CSS and JCN or Material UI.
Great,
Yeah,
great, great. So, all right, guys, it has been a very insightful conversation.
yeah, that's right.
Uh, a lengthy one, but inspiring, you know. So, all right, guys, it has been a very lengthy and an insightful conversation with Joshua, Dev Josh. I hope you learned something. And then, if you are wondering if you're on the right path, we just mentioned them. We talked about it, and he has recommended some roadmap that if you follow, of course, it's from an expert. So if you follow, you can then call yourself a front-end
Front-end
engineer.
engineer.
Don't learn HTML and meet me and tell me coding rev. I'm a front-end engineer. I beg. Follow the
Nah,
roadmap. Yeah.
I'll sound you.
Okay, so don't forget to like, comment, and
And
then
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. We will catch up.